Hello and welcome to Round 7's coverage of Cross Touring Cup here tonight at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, not to be confused with the Catalunya wine mixer, if you guys know what Step Brothers is. But my name is Adam Thompson, and I'm joined in the commentary booth by the always wonderful Alex Anderson. A little bit of quick information here on Barcelona. It is a 4.675 kilometer or about a 3-mile racetrack located in Montmeló, Spain. With long straights and a variety of corners, the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya is seen as an all-rounder circuit. The track has stands with a capacity of about 141,000 people, and it has an FIA Grade 1 license. If you guys watch Formula 1, this is where they do their testing in the preseason. And race here always ends up to be a good race out here. Definitely a driver's circuit for sure. Until 2013, the track was known only as Circuit de Catalunya before a sponsorship deal with the Barcelona City Council added Barcelona to the track's title. With that being said, Alex, you excited for this, man? We're in round 7 already here for Cross Touring Cup. They've got this one and one more to go.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a really good show from these guys. I mean, the points are getting close here, coming up towards the end of the season. So definitely going to be an interesting race from this point of view, especially with the TCR class. Because if you've been keeping up with the points, you know that Eduardo Pecorini, he's only 1 point behind Robert Schwenkler. There, Robert has 73 and Eduardo with 72. Chad Seep close behind as well with 70. So definitely going to be an interesting race for both classes here. And really, with the times that the GT3s were setting down in practice, it's going to be a really close race overall.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I apologize. While we're mentioning points real quick, while we're talking about points, take a look here at these points. Bobby Ross was not at the final or the last race, and that really allowed Kerry Cantera to suck up into Bobby Ross. He's only about 11 points behind now. And that's not a whole lot when it comes to these GT3s with the way the point system is laid out here in Cross Touring Cup. So if Kerry can get another win here on Bobby Ross, that could really do some damage to Bobby here in the championship standings. But we've got Bobby Ross there, still in first with Kerry in second. Jake Ham in third, with Paul Mikolajczyk only 3 points behind there in fourth place. Josh Clogg back there. Don't sleep on him. I know he doesn't have that many points, he's still got a lot, but it's because he hasn't been racing, or he didn't race the last race, and he's missed a couple due to work. And he is definitely one that you're going to have to watch out for as well tonight, with Tyler Coates, Jaden Darling, Eric Whitner, Jimmy Howitt, and Darian Lozano rounding out your 10 drivers here in the GT3 field. But we're already into qualifying here, Alex, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can find somebody that we can get on board with. And looks like we do have Chad Seep out there. See if we can find Kerry Cantera, actually. Ooh, he has updated his paint job again. That is a nice one.
Yeah, I definitely really like that. I like the way the colors mix together. But we're going to take you on a bit of a flying lap here for Kerry Cantera. I believe this will be his first qualifying lap in his 15-minute run as we go on board down the front straight and past the DRS board through the grid spots, and he's across the line. The lap has started. Down the long front straight comes a bit of an uphill, then a bit of a downhill slope. He's going to downshift from 6th gear down to, I believe, 3rd into turn 1, which is known as ELF. Downshifts into turn 2, then through turn 2 and into turn 3, known as Renault. The very long right-hander, you can usually clip the inside, then you want to get right up against that little green strip. Kerry elects to take the middle as he comes under the Repsol bridge and into turn 4, also known as Repsol. Definitely doing a pretty job on this lap so far. Josh Clogg sets the fastest lap of the 145, but into turn 5, it's going to come downshift into 2nd gear, very slow hairpin-like corner. I would expect to see a bit of dive bomb passes there and do a bit of a kink before braking into a bit of a chicane, a 90-degree left-hander into a short right-hander, then another 90-degree right-hander over a hill. He can definitely understeer here. These guys are going to have to watch out for that corner. Down a bit of a back straight and into probably the sharpest corner on the circuit. It's a very slow hairpin. Kerry turns in early down into 1st gear. He gets right up on that curb. Probably not the best exit from him. then into a high-speed kink, and into another slow right-hand corner. Then into the final chicane, a very slow section of racetrack down into second gear for the first part. Hard braking into the second part down into first gear. And then just bring it nicely to the curves on exit through the last corner at full speed. And Kerry Cantera has completed his lap. We'll have to see where it puts him on the board.
Looks like he's gone green in all three of his sectors. Is it going to be enough to get in? It is enough to get in front of Clog, barely by 8/1000ths of a second, Alex. 8/1000ths of a second separate Kerry Cantera and Josh Clog. I think we are in for a heck of a race tonight.
Yeah, just extremely close overall. I'm surprised that Kerry Cantera was able to beat Josh Clog, but great driving from this from Kerry Cantera so far, excuse me. Bobby Ross actually goes just about a 10th.5 faster with a 1:45.4 as he breaks down into turn 1 to start a second lap. So definitely going to be an interesting race with how close these times are so far, with Kerry Cantera only a 10th.5 behind, and then Josh Clog 8/1000ths behind him down in P3.
We do have to take a look here real quick at Jaden Darling, by the way. Last race, he had such a good one going and just lost it coming out of the pits, got into the sand, and lost that position, lost that podium. He was on form here in practice as well. He was sitting at about 3rd or 4th place in practice, so is this the weekend, or this the week that Jaden finally gets onto that podium?
Well, I don't want to give him a commentator's curse, but I really hope it is. He's been doing a great job so far. So he's just got to set down a flyer lap here, just try and get himself up and into the top 3, and just try and hang on to it. But he is going to have to look out, because he's going to have some hard-charging drivers around here that are looking to try and win the title for points.
He absolutely is. And real quickly, we were talking about this before the broadcast went live, Alex. You can see Robert Schwenkler did actually have quite a bit of time, had gained quite a bit of time on Eduardo Pecorini throughout the season, and we kind of thought, and hopefully Rob looks like has one more lap here, thought this might be a bit of a closer race, but it looks like Eduardo just came in and put an absolute banger of a lap in with a 1:56.222.
Yeah, but you got to think that was, I don't believe that was anywhere near Robert's fastest time in practice. If I'm not mistaken, I believe his fastest time was a 1:56.8. So if Rob can hit all his sectors correctly, he hits his first sector in a green light. So he's just got to keep his head down and keep himself focused to try and get a great lap here. Breaks into a nice 90-degree left-hand corner. A great job through there. You can see the rear blade. I can't speak. You can see the rear brakes glowing as he comes into the corner over the crest and down the back straightaway, about to cross the Sector 2 timing line. We'll have to see what happens. He was timing a yellow sector. He loses a bit of time there into the hairpin. Just the rear brake glow from these drivers just trying to get that car turned in. It's front-wheel drive. You definitely have a bit of understeer to deal with as he brakes into that corner. Coming into the last chicane now. Hard braking. I did a bit of test driving earlier in these cars. Definitely a very difficult chicane to get right. But it looks like he did a pretty decent job there. Gets a nice exit through the last corner. Full throttle. Just trying to get those rear brakes cooled down to try and help the car across the line. He hits a green sector, but it's only a 1:59.5, it looks like.
Yeah, that's a bit slower. You can see he ran that middle sector definitely was not what he wanted there, but it's all good. It looks like he's going out again. He may have one more lap. These drivers do have 3 laps here in Cross Touring Cup to get their laps in, the laps that they want, but oh my goodness, look at this gap up here at the front between Bobby Ross and Kerry Cantera, separated by 1/10 of a second. Unbelievable. If this race goes on, I was talking to you, Alex, before the broadcast dropped, and you said it only had 3 stars on the website you were looking at from drivers, and I was telling you this is a driver circuit, not so much a racing circuit. So if these guys can keep,
he's off track.
That was close, and it looks like that may be an off track for Kerry Cantera, and that's going to definitely hurt his chances there to take the pole. But man, maybe these guys can prove me wrong tonight. Maybe we can see some good racing, huh?
Yeah, and not even a tenth of a second behind Bobby Ross, 12 thousandths, just over a hundredth. So we're definitely set up for a great race here tonight. And this is where you got to look at Josh Clogg and how fast that driver is. You're going to have to look at how Josh Clogg can react to these guys being about a tenth and a half faster than himself. So Josh, we know he's one of the fastest guys in here, so we'll have to see how he can deal with this and try and make his way back up to the front. But like you said, it's a driver's track, so it's not going to be easy for him to get back up there.
No, it definitely won't. I mean, and you can see here as Alex, as you took us through the lap, there are some pretty long straightaways on this track, but the problem comes into the fact that you can't do anything with them. Really, the best passing opportunity you're going to get is to turn 10. And you know, that's after you're coming out of one of the most difficult, I would say, corner sections in racing in general. You're coming up the hill into that right-hander, almost full-speed right-hander into turn 9. And it's just not easy to stay close enough to try to make a move into that hard braking zone into turn 10. You know, you've got that big straightaway there on the front stretch into turn 1. But it's just, it's a sweeping right to left-hander. It just doesn't allow for a whole lot of passing opportunities.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I really love seeing how drivers deal with tracks where it's not the easiest place in the world to pass. And like you said, that difficult section of uphill corners down that long straight, it's not going to be easy for these guys to keep up with each other going through that 90-degree right-hander. You just got to hope that you can get a nice braking into that corner, get a nice speed through the center, and roll off the exit to just hope that you can get a slipstream down into that hairpin. But you were talking about not many places to pass. This front straightaway, I think, is definitely going to be one of them. Very long. It's a great opportunity for somebody to get a nice slipstream. But with the way turn 1 is, I believe it would keep cars side by side going into turn 3 and maybe even turn 4 because it's a right-hander followed directly by a left-hander. Both corners follow the same shape. So it'd probably keep guys pretty even through there, and then somebody might be able to take advantage of the inside through there. But then the car on the outside would get the advantage coming into turn 4. So I think if two guys get side by side through there, it's really going to be interesting to see if they can keep it side by side through the first 5 or 6 corners to try and just gather some positions here. Because like we were mentioning earlier, a lot of these guys are racing for a year-end championship. So really going to be interesting to see how they deal with this track.
Yeah, I am very interested as well to see how they deal with this track. You can see there on the top left of your screen, we've got about, if I can do some quick math here, about 2 minutes left here in this session, in the qualifying session. So I believe we are going to have a rolling start tonight. I know, I apologize, and I know we'd all love that standing start they did there at Spa a few weeks ago. But with that being said, next season are all going to be standing starts, and I can now say it. I think I dropped the ball just a little bit the last time we were broadcasting. It is going to be a GT3 and a GT4 field, so that's going to make the racing much different.
Yeah, and just the way those two classes differ, GT3s compared to GTEs, I'm going to set that as pretty much the main rivalry, is just because IMSA, if you look in real life, they dropped GTEs this season.
GT4.
Their main GT field, or wait, hold on.
It's a GT4 field, so it's a GT4 and the GT3 field. I apologize, Alex. I don't know if you misunderstood me, but yeah, so they're going to be running the GT3s and the GT4s next season. Both cars are rear-wheel drive. Both cars are set up about the same. The GT4s are just to have a little less power than the GT3s do.
Yeah, and those GT4s compared to the TCRs, it's definitely going to be easier to get around a circuit in the GT4s, I would say. With those rear-wheel drive tires, you can really just get the car, probably get a decent slip angle through some corners just to get it turned through the corner. Meanwhile, the TCRs being front-wheel drive, you have to let it roll through most corners, that way you don't understeer on exit. Then the GT3s versus the GTEs, or excuse me, they're still GT3s, I believe, so sorry about that, but GT3s coming in again. They've shown great racing here, and not even just at Barcelona so far, just throughout the season entirely. So, but with the GT4s coming in, it's definitely going to put these two classes closer together. So, if they're honestly, there might even be a GT4 that can beat a GT3 driver, I would say, even with just how some people are just so talented with one car, but somebody might not be used to the other. So definitely going to be a really interesting shakeup for Season 2.
It absolutely is, but right now we are through qualifying, and we'll go ahead and get these results pulled up here. If it lets me, we may have to do a quick refresh here. I think we will, so give me just 1 second, and we'll get this pulled up for you. You can see there, kind of. There we go. Bobby Ross there in first place with Kerry Cantera coming home second, only 1/100th of a second off Bobby's time, with Josh Clogg not that far behind there in P3, with Jaden Darling in fourth, Tyler Coates fifth, and Jimmy Howlett rounding out your GT3 field in sixth. Eduardo Pecorini in the first car in the TCRs beats Robert Schwenkler by about 1.4 seconds, with Chad Seep coming across the line in third and James Keir in fourth. So we do have quite a bit of, what's the word? Man, I'm trying to think of the word here. Quite a bit of racing here we're going to have to be able to cover tonight. The big battle we're going to be watching here is Bobby Ross and Kerry Cantera up there in front in the GT3 field with my goodness, Eduardo Pecorini and Robert Schwenkler in the TCR field, because those are the two battles we're going to be watching tonight just because of the points. So, Alex, before we get going here, why don't you tell me your predictions for tonight's race?
Well, honestly, you were talking about the main battle between Bobby Ross and Kerry Cantera, but I wouldn't want to skip out on Josh Clogg. We know he's one of the fastest guys in this series, so I would definitely expect a bit of a fight from him down there in P3 for the GT3 class. But looking back towards the TCRs, Eduardo Pecorini, we know he's extremely fast, and we know just how talented he is with these TCRs. Robert Schwenkler, however, he wasn't that far behind in qualifying, so I would really expect him to do something about it. But we're about to go green.
We are, and we will try to get back up here to the front. You can see Bobby Ross going to be leading them through the final corner there, turn 16, also known as Catalunya. Why wouldn't it be? And we're going to watch them go. Whenever you see those lights go on the top of the screen, that's when they decide to go green, and man, there they go. Bobby Ross takes off first place with Kerry Cantera right to the left.
Yeah, and Kerry Cantera, he needs to try and duck down in line. He does. He might be able to try a bit of a dive bomb down into turn one. It looks like that's what he's going to go for. Just not close enough. Josh Clogg goes to the outside of him into turn two. Josh Clogg,
what a move.
He's not clear just yet. Now he is. What a move down into turn two. But for the TCRs, Eduardo Pecorini easily takes the lead down into turn one. Robert Schwenkler not that far behind, though. He's just got to try and stay consistent to try and keep up with that 33 car. Chad Seep down there in P3, he's really, it looks like he understeers to the outside a little, keeps it on the racetrack, and James Keir back there in 10th has to try and get around him, but Bobby Ross putting a bit of a gap on Josh Clogg up to 6/10 now. He might reach 7 here soon. Kerry Cantera, although has not lost second place, he's still right there as they come towards the uphill section. So pretty interesting start to this race so far. Josh Clogg with a really great move into turn two. Like we said, it's a driver's circuit, so definitely a great thing for him to make that move early.
It is, and the problem that Josh is going to run into with Kerry is Kerry looks for a move down to the inside there of turn 10. Wasn't able to make it happen. Josh is going to be trying to stay as close as he can to Bobby here, but the problem is he's got pressure from Kerry behind him, and Jaden Darling, if these two make a mistake, Jaden Darling is sitting there in a very good position right now.
Yeah, Jaden Darling, he's a very consistent driver, very quiet back there. He just pulls off a nice strategy and usually ends up with the top 5 at the end of the day. So he just needs to keep his foot down and keep his head in a good place. And if these two make a mistake in front of him, he's going to have to try and take advantage of it to try and make up some spots here to try and get himself on the podium for this race.
Yeah, going back here down to the front, we figured, you mentioned that front straight may be a good spot, a good passing opportunity, but at the moment it's not. Let's see how these TCRs do down through here. They're already pretty spread out. We got Chad Seep. There's James Keir. It just looks like things are spreading out just a little bit right now. There will be one forced pit stop here due to fuel limits on these vehicles. The GT3s may have to stop twice. So that could bring in a bit of an unknown. If one of these guys get into the pits, they're going 3 miles an hour too fast, they just lost the race.
Yeah, and these guys are definitely going to have to look out for pit road speeding penalties, but with the pit limiters that all these cars have, they just have to watch their speed on entry and make sure they don't release the pit limiter too early on exit. But with pit strategy, you got to think with how quickly these cars can spread out, and if the GT3s have to stop twice, you got to think if somebody might pull an undercut on their first stop to then try and go nice and long to get to their second stop, so that way they can just have a nice final stint to try and make up some time, so that way their entire race is not made up of pit stops.
Yeah, that's always going to be a good strategy, and we've seen different strategy calls here between all of these drivers, which I didn't think strategy was going to be so important here when they weren't taking tires, but it is pretty amazing that these drivers can get in here and actually make a strategy call just on fuel and gain a few seconds. So it's definitely going to be interesting to look at and watch here as we've got these top three really starting to break away. You got Kerry Cantera, Josh Clogg, and Bobby Ross up here in first, second, and third. And it looks like Clogg is not letting Bobby go. This is great news for Josh Clogg. Not so much for Bobby Ross, but Kerry Cantera, the one that's battling Bobby, has got to find a way to get back up there.
Yeah, or like we were mentioning earlier, Kerry Cantera could pull off a decent fuel strategy and just make up a few seconds off that, because if he takes less fuel, I mean, they're going to have to guesstimate how much fuel they can take to make it to the end of this race unless they have a pre-made strategy. So for these guys coming into pit road, and especially with Jimmy Howard down here in the back, a really nice looking Porsche, he's pretty close to Tyler Coates up in front of him. A guy like Jimmy back here, he's going to have to try and do something special here. And with that, I think he might have to try and pull off a bit of a really close fuel call to try and make up some time here. If he takes less fuel, that means a lighter car, and that means more speed. So if he can make a right fuel call, I think he would definitely have a shot at a podium.
I think you're right on that. And the one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on with Jimmy is he is a very quick driver in whatever he does here in iRacing, but tends to make some mistakes. And if he can keep this car clean, he's definitely looking at probably maybe a fourth place if he can get the strategy right. He's just got to keep that Porsche under him. And talking with Jimmy throughout the season, he's not a big fan of it. Josh Clogg kind of talked him in, I think, to driving that Porsche. And Jimmy is not the biggest fan of that Porsche. They are extremely tough vehicles to drive, but back up here looking at Josh Clogg, he's making it look pretty easy.
Yeah, Josh Clogg, and like you said, with making it look easy, he's closed that gap a little bit. It looked like they were 0.6 of a second away from each other going into 1 and 2 that previous lap, but now down to 0.3. Looks like he actually lost some time on exit there. But speaking of strategy, with these guys having to make an extra fuel stop, you got to think what these leaders are going to do here. Josh Clogg, he gets a nice exit. He's going to have a bit of a run down into turn 4. He's got a bit of a late turn in. And it looks like actually Jamie Howard just made a pass on Tyler Coates for 5th, but with this strategy, and even with all the close racing like you're saying between these two cars, you got to think when they have to decide that I can't race each other right now because I need to figure out my fuel strategy.
Yeah, that's you. You're not wrong there. Even though this is virtual racing as Jimmy Howard goes wide, looks like Tyler's going to try to get back down into the chicane there, or the hairpin at turn 5. Wasn't able to make it happen. But anyways, yeah, with all these guys, they're trying to race each other, and you're also looking at your pit box, or your, what do they call that thing in the bottom right corner of iRacing if you're driving? Whatever they call it, their info box. And it shows the fuel that they have, so they're trying to make calculations. My goodness, Jimmy Howard made a late move there on Tyler Coates. They're going to go into turn 10 now. Is Tyler going to try to get him back? Woo! We got a race on our hands back here, Alex.
Yeah, and definitely a great job from these two drivers. With Tyler Coates, he's a really consistent driver overall, but looks like he understeers a little bit there, and he's now falling back from Jimmy Howitt. So looks like he pulls a bit to the inside there, but back up towards the front. Josh Clark is going to get a run down the front stretch here. So we just have to see when he uses one of those runs to try and make a move for the lead. But Kerry Cantera, he's made up a bit of time as well back there. Now under a second to Josh Clark in front of him. So a great job from the top three so far, and it's a very close race so far. Josh Clark gets that gap under 3/10 as they come into turn 3. Now down into turn 4, Josh Clark, he's just got to try and keep this thing consistent, try and keep it close to try and get a run down a straight here, to try and make a move using that slipstream, but he doesn't get the best exit there through turn 4. Down to turn 5, hard braking into second gear for these guys. Looks like Kerry Cantera makes up a bit of time on Clog there, and Clog falls just a tad back from Bobby Ross.
Yeah, this is Kerry's, I think, may just be biding his time right now, and he's doing a great job getting that Lamborghini around the track, not losing track of these two guys up front. And maybe if these two get in a battle, Kerry Cantera, that gap is only 0.7 of a second right now between him and Josh Clog. That will very quickly shrink, very quickly, if these guys go too wide into any one of these corners.
Yeah, and with the way these corners are, it just seems like one corner always leads into another. So if you go side by side with one car into a corner, you're definitely going to have to expect that you're going to be side by side to the next one. And with those slower speeds, just having to control your line to keep yourself away from hitting the other car, you just got to be careful, and you lose speed there. So looks like as we take a look at Jimmy Howard, he gets off track. Looks like that's coming up the hill for that number 37 Porsche.
Gets it.
Like you said, with mistakes, it looks like this driver just can't get away from him.
Yeah, and that's what's been hurting Jimmy in the past. He is still back there behind Tyler Coates, about 2 seconds now. So it seems that he's been able to get everything, not everything back, but he's at least been able to keep his car out of the wall. We're still watching this battle up front, though. 9th and 10th back there, you can see James Keir and Chad Seep battling as well. But at the moment, this is the battle on track, and it's starting to spread out maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, and Josh Clog, he definitely lost a bit of time on that previous lap. And Kerry Cantera looks like he lost a bit of time to Clog as well. So these two, they fell back a little bit from Bobby Ross. So Ross has a little bit more breathing room to work with for these next couple of laps. But honestly, what I'm really looking for right now is just when one of these cars dives into the pits. So it looked like Jimmy Howard, even after that mistake, looks like he just made a pass on Tyler Coates. They're side by side through, I believe that's turn 3. Looks like he gets clear of him before turn 4 and under the bridge, and he's clear into turn 4 and 5.
Yeah, great move there by Jimmy, and I think you may have proved me wrong there. Wasn't really able to find or see that pass because we were talking about this up here. And you know, Clog, every time he starts losing that gap, he just starts bringing it back in. You can see that black and yellow fiercely forward Porsche still looming in the mirrors of that Mercedes.
Yeah, and Clog just needs to set down some consistent laps here to try and decrease that gap to maybe make a move on Bobby. As you can see, just both of these cars just trying to get a nice exit off that final corner and down the front straightaway. Clog has that gap back down to 0.4 of a second. It looks like Kerry Cantera followed his line through there to close his gap down to Bobby Ross.
Oh, it's closing up now.
Nice slipstream from Josh Clog. Gets that gap under 0.3 as they break into turn 1. And I think in the upcoming laps is where Josh
Clog he catches the curb, though.
Yeah, costly mistake for him, but actually wasn't very costly, it turns out to be. Through the inside of turn 3, Josh Clog did not lose that much time. It looks like he might have net gained time there as they come down into turn 4. A very close gap between these two, so Clog just needs to bide his time and just get a nice stretch of corners here, but I think this middle sector is just where Bobby can pull away.
Look there for damage on that Porsche. Make sure he caught that sausage curve pretty hard there on the left side. I don't see any damages. Kerry Cantera is off track behind them.
Ooh, and just unfortunate. It looks like he lost a bit of quite a lot of time there. He comes through turn 3. So he just tries to get it through turn 4 and just not able to get that car through the corner the way he wanted to. Gets off track, does a great job keeping it on the racing surface.
Uh-oh.
And doesn't lose a spot, but it looks like Josh Clog tries to look to the inside into the hairpin. He doesn't get the spot, but now he's going to have a shot. He's to the left side of Bobby. Ooh, very difficult spot to go side by side through, but they keep it clean out of that corner and down into the chicane. This is where I think this is the lap where Josh Clog can make a move down to this front straightaway. Using that slipstream, he just needs to get through this final chicane quite well. As we take a look at the onboard camera through that last corner, the gap just over 3.5 tenths of a second, and he's just got to try and close that gap down the front straightaway using that slipstream, but he's definitely fast enough to make a move on Bobby, as we saw just then.
This is Josh's chance right here. We'll see. Is he going to dive to the right side? No, he's going to stay behind Bobby going into turn 1. They're going to come up through turn 2 where he really can't make a move. Turn 4 is going to be the next spot where he's going to be able to make it happen. He's starting to get out just a little bit wide there on Bobby. You wonder if that has to do with just a little bit of dirty air. Doesn't look like he's going to make it happen into turn 4. Now, watch into 4 now. Then they're going to come through 5. Then you got 6, 7, 8, and 9. The next passing opportunity is going to be 10, that hard-breaking left-hand hairpin. So we'll have to take a chance, or not take a chance, but stay on here and see if Josh takes a chance going into turn 10, if he can stay close enough through what I call the ditch corner. This is, I think, the toughest corner I've ever had to drive. The car just wants to get super loose on you. Bobby catches the curve just a little bit, keeps it all in check. Now going through turn 9, and it looks like he is, like you said, that second sector is just where Bobby's got it.
Yeah, and actually, while we were covering that, Jimmy Howard, we were talking about the first car to come into the pit lane. Jimmy Howard is the first car to do it. He's currently a pretty long pit stop for him, though, currently climbing on 50 seconds total in the pits. So I wonder if he might have had a bit of damage to fix there. He loses a spot to Eduardo Pecorini, actually. But up towards the front here, Josh Clog, he looks like Bobby can pull away in that middle sector, but in the first and last sector, that's where Clog can just make up some time. He's got that gap down to just over 5 tenths of a second. He's going to get a nice slipstream down this front stretch, and he might be able to get not close enough to make a move, but close enough to just keep that car right on Bobby and just let Bobby know, hey, I'm still here. So as they approach TCR lap traffic, and like we were mentioning with this track being a driver's track, it's not the easiest course to make moves on. So you think lap cars might have a bit of a deal with this race for the lead?
I absolutely do, because right now they're coming up onto the back of James Keir and Chad Seep, who are still really racing. Yeah, they're about 3 seconds off, but they're definitely still racing up there. So you know James Keir is not going to want to give this up, and Bobby's about to catch James, and maybe one of the worst sections you could ever catch anybody here through Sector 2, which is so hard to pass until you get up into turn 10. So this is gonna have to, we're gonna see, you can see Bobby tried to get to the inside of Keir, and he does, but he's gonna lose so much time. But the problem is now Josh Clog is gonna have to do the same thing around an even tougher corner, and he's able to get it done. Now they've got Chad Seep, which Bobby should be able to dispatch of going into turn 10. We'll see if he gets it done. No, Chad is still in front of Bobby, so now Bobby's gonna have to follow him around for a couple more corners here.
Yeah, and with the
oh my goodness,
that's gonna really mess up Bobby's exit there. Looked like Chad Seep, he was just trying to get out of the way without putting it off the racing surface, and that just really messes up Bobby's exit there. But he has a nice recovery into the final chicane. But Josh Clog, he's definitely still there. He was able to maneuver around the lap traffic in, I would say, a more orderly manner in a decent spot, as actually he comes into the pits. And this is where, if you were trying to do a two-stop strategy, which these GT3s might have to, and I think with Clog coming in now, you have to do a two-stop strategy for these GT3 cars. Kerry Cantera pits as well, and if you do have to do two stops, this is the spot where you would want to do it. About a third of the way through this race, you can pit now and at the 30-minute mark and just have a nice 15-minute stint to finish off this race.
So keep an eye there on that 7th place car of Rob Schwenkler. Bobby's going to catch him, but the question is he going to catch him on this lap or not. Because now Bobby's going to have to make a decision. If he does catch Rob Schwenkler, he will lose a little bit of time to Rob, and that may give Josh the time he needs to get past Bobby when Bobby comes into the pits, because you can see Josh Clog back there right now. Nobody in front of him for about 3 corners. So this is really, as you can see, Bobby very quickly getting onto the back of Rob Schwenkler through turn 9 now. The question is Rob going to be able to let Bobby go before they get into turn 10? I don't think he's going to. So this is going to hurt Bobby. He's about to catch Rob the same spot he caught Chad Seep a lap earlier.
Yeah, and just this hard, difficult last section. Worst spot to catch a slower car. Bobby has to take a wider line coming out of that corner, and actually he has to dive to the inside now into that last chicane. This is really going to mess up his corner here, is that last chicane you really don't want to go wide through there. So probably lost a bit of time to Josh Clog there, and if Clog can just keep that car behind Eduardo Pecorini and Robert Schwenkler before those two come into the pits. So we see Jaden Darling up here in second, still staying out. So we're going to have to see what Josh Clog can do and where he catches Robert Schwenkler and Eduardo Pecorini at, because it can really make or break Clog's race here.
It absolutely can, and you can see there on the track map, it's by position. So that number 1 red blip riding around your track map that's about to go into turn 4, also known as Repsol, is Bobby. Number 5 is 5th position, who is Eduardo Pecorini. So keep an eye here on Bobby and where he catches Eduardo. It looks like he is about to catch Eduardo in this same exact spot he's caught the last 2 TCRs for the previous 2 laps, and that's going to do nothing but hurt Bobby, as you cannot get around him. And Eduardo at this point, I have a feeling, could let Bobby go, but you know he doesn't want to lose that much time, as there was a bit of an off track, as you saw there by Bobby, but everything seems to be okay. So we'll have to see. You can see that Mercedes back there behind Eduardo. Is Eduardo going to let him go before they get into turn 10? I don't think he's going to, Bobby. Here we go again. Going to have to make another move in the most difficult part to make a move. Eduardo lets him go. Very, very nicely done by those two.
Yeah, just honestly really close. It looked like Bobby had to throw it to the inside before the corner while he was braking. So great job from him keeping that car under control as he comes into the last chicane. And now we just have to pay attention to when this 33 car comes into the pits. He's very fast. He just has to keep that nice and consistent. He stays out for another lap as he comes across the line to complete lap 11. And Josh Clog, he's probably running, in my opinion, one of the worst races, the race where you can't see what your opponent is doing and where he is on track. So Josh just needs to keep his car consistent here and just try and make up just little slivers of time with that fully fueled Porsche, but it is going to be a bit heavier, so it might be a bit harder as Jaden Darling comes into the pits.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what exactly Josh can do as he really catches the curb there on the exit of turn 15. Looks to be okay again. We'll kind of stay on here with Josh to see if he has any damage. Doesn't look like anything cosmetic on the outside. Hopefully he has nothing mechanical there on the suspension side of things, but here he goes now. He is now about to have to pass James Keir and Chad Seep, who are still about 2 seconds away from each other, still running their race, still staying close to each other. Looks like Josh is going to be able to really make a very quick move here on James Keir. We'll see where James goes, outside, inside. Josh goes to the inside, and there's one dispatched up very easily now. Excuse me. Clog needs to catch Chad Seep before they get to turn 7, because then he's going to have the same pain that Bobby's been in for the last 3 laps trying to get around these TCRs. We'll see where Chad goes. Is Chad going to let him go? He is, very nicely indeed. Clog is still on his way. I think this is really a net gain for Clog over the past few laps here.
Yeah, and Clog is just really able to make a nice, easy move on Chad Seep there in just a full throttle section where he doesn't have to affect his line at all. But Bobby elects to stay out again. So it looks like Bobby might be trying. Oh, excuse me, actually. Bobby pulls into the pit lane this lap Bobby might be going for a one-stop strategy here. If he can save a bit of fuel, he might be able to pull it off, but it won't be easy for that 33 car.
Big deal here. We do have Josh Clogg now coming through, about to come through turn 13 and into the chicane of 14 and 15, known as RACC. I would assume that's pronounced something. I think maybe rack. And now through 16 for Catalunya, the final corner on the track. Keep an eye here on Bobby Ross with Josh Clogg. See exactly where they're going to come through. You can see Josh coming down the straightaway now. Has Bobby come out of the pits yet? I don't think he has. Josh Clogg has just taken the lead of this race by a long shot. Bobby is just now coming out of the pits, and that is going to be probably a 2-second gap. Now Bobby's on some colder tires.
Yeah, and I would say probably what affected that is just Josh Clogg. He has nobody in front of him. He can just run nice, consistent laps. And he caught the TCRs he had to pass in really great spots where he didn't have to worry about his line being affected or his entry or exit line being affected. So just a great spot to catch those lap cars, and some consistent laps overall just gave Josh Clogg the lead.
Absolutely. Now we're going to have to see what Bobby can do on this heavier fuel load. Josh obviously has a lighter one. We know for a fact Josh is going to have to come in again. Now, the question is going to be, when is Bobby going to have to come in? Is he going to have to come in? 45-minute race. He pitted at about 21 minutes. I think that is probably going to be too close for you or I to make an assumption on that. So what Bobby can do right now, he knows at this point that Josh is going to have to either save a lot of fuel, or Josh is just going to run, I apologize, balls to the wall and try to gain a gap on Bobby to come back into the pits and get more gas.
Yeah, and the thing that Bobby's going to have to do is he catches Robert Schwenkler, and again, just a terrible position coming into that chicane. He's going to lose more time with his line being affected into turn 13. So Bobby, he just, I mean, with how quickly these GT3 cars burn fuel, Bobby's just going to have to save the most fuel he's probably ever saved in his life. He's going to have to save, he pitted at around a minute, or 21 minutes, about 21 minutes, 20 seconds, around there. So he has to save just over a minute worth of fuel, and that's if he doesn't have to pit again, because when he came in that lap, he might have just been running on fumes when he came into the pits.
Yeah, I think he may have been, but he may have just enough, Alex. And there's no way for me to know, no way for either one of us to know, actually, if Bobby's going to continue to save some gas. You can see him back there about 2 seconds now. So either Josh has turned on the afterburners. We do know Bobby had to get around Robert Schwenkler there. Of course, in another terrible position for Bobby, catching the lap cars at all the wrong times. But it doesn't look like Bobby's trying to save too much fuel, as you can see that gap starting to come down again.
Yeah, but what Josh Clogg has to do here is he knows he has to pit again, so he just needs to make the most of this fuel load and just try and set down some flyer lap times, because he knows he's going to have to pit again, so there's no point in trying to save any fuel. And if he did, he would have to probably be going 5 miles an hour right now. So he's just got to run consistent laps here and run fast laps to try and pull away from Bobby Ross there, to just try and make up some time when he has to come into the pits again. And just the thing to look for here right now is, will Bobby Ross have to pit again? If he doesn't, he's going to have to save a lot of fuel. So we just have to look at the strategy here and just try and decipher what Bobby Ross is going to do here. As Eduardo Pecorini, the first of the TCRs to come into the pits, I would imagine that some people might be coming with him as Robert Schwenkler comes through that last chicane. So we'll have to see if Robert comes to the pits, and yes, he does. He pits with Pecorini. So he just needs to get a nice fuel stop here, and Josh Clogg needs to run some consistent laps to try and make up some time.
Yeah, so you can see that these TCRs do only have to stop one time. The issue with these two cars, and they just burn. Obviously, the GT3 burns copiously more fuel than the TCR will, as we have a pass here by James Keir on Chad Seep. Was this an on-track pass, or was this Chad Seep? Nope, Chad Seep in the pits. James Keir able to get around him. So Keir definitely going to make a stop here on the next lap. We'll see if Chad will keep an eye on that battle, see if Chad can get back by him, because that is for fourth and fifth. For fourth place and 5th place, yes, respectively, in their class.
Yeah, and looks like just that last strategy battle for the TCR class between Chad Seep and James Keir. If James Keir can just pull off a nice in-lap to come to the pits and just get out in front of Chad Seep, he might be able to hold on to P4 or P3 in class and get a podium.
Yeah, absolutely he can. So we're going to have to see here what James can do here on Chad. Obviously going to have to come in Schwenkler behind Keir as well, but doing okay really right now. Obviously they both came in. Keir is the last person to stop here in the TCR class. Looking down here at the bottom of the field, Tyler Coates and Jimmy Howitt both out of the race already. I believe that they have just decided that these guys are too fast for them this weekend. So, again, or this week I should say, next week, guys, while we've got a bit of a break in the action, is the final race here for Cross Touring Cup. If this is something you'd be interested in, please reach out here in the YouTube chat, and I will get you in contact with the league owner of Rob Schwenkler. Again, they're going to GT3s and GT4s next season. So if you are a GT3 fan or a GT4 fan, hop on in here. Need some good racers in here. Obviously, it's a great league to be a part of. As you can tell, the racing is already good, and it'll only get better with more cars.
Yeah, and just a bigger field just means more racing, and that just means more action for us to cover and more fuel and pit strategy from these guys. So I'm really hoping we can expand this field coming into the last race and into next season for the Cross Touring Cup. But if we stay with just this field of cars, I honestly wouldn't be too upset. We've seen great racing all season and all race long in this race between the leaders of the GT3 class and even between Jaden Darling, Jimmy Howitt and Tyler Coates. So just great racing overall, and I really hope that this league continues to grow.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. This is the first season here for Cross Touring Cup, and it's only going to get better every season. Great group of guys we've got, they've got. So it's going to be great to see how this league grows and what it turns into. But at the moment, still up here on the battle between Josh Clogg and Bobby Ross. Alex, look at that gap. I believe it was at 2 seconds when Bobby came out of the pits.
Yeah, it was. So Bobby has cut 9/10 into that gap, over 9/10 now down the front straightaway into Josh Clogg's lead. So Bobby's running. He's not trying to save fuel at all with the laps he's running. So he's just trying, I would assume, just try and get back in front of Bobby Ross before he has to pit again to just try and make up some time there so that way he doesn't have to make up time on pit road.
Can I just say something real quickly? How in the heck is James Keir still out on track when all of these TCRs have gone in 3 laps before him? This is great fuel saving by Keir. We'll see if it works out for him. Now, he's not going to have to fuel save at all. You saw these drivers come in about 25 minutes. I don't think any of them are going to have fuel saved, but maybe another strategy call here.
Yeah, and James Keir,
he stays out again.
He stays out again. He's got that full fuel tank. Might have a bit of extra bit of fuel in the fuel line there. Not going to make any assumptions towards the CD8 car. He's obviously doing great right now. But he's definitely going to have to pit again unless he does have that 200,000 gallon fuel tank that I might have heard of going around. So, but that would probably make this car go very slow here. So James Keir, he's probably going to have to pit again. It doesn't look like he has yet. He has not. So I just want to look at when he's going to have to come out of the pits and how much fuel he can take, because if he can take just the smallest amount of fuel possible, he might be able to come out of the pits in front of Robert Schwenkler.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting strategy call here by Keir, and you can see the gap between Schwenkler and Keir is holding steady around about 11 seconds. So Keir has definitely found some pace there in that Honda. Really may have an okay chance. Chad Seep about 18 seconds even behind Schwenkler, which would put, that would put quite a bit of time, about 28 seconds between him and Keir. I don't know what the pit stop times were. We can go ahead and pull them up real quick to kind of see how long these all were. Yeah, about 40 seconds. So actually, right now, Keir really has got to get a move on it. or, like you said, take less fuel.
Yeah, and if he does take less fuel, that does mean a lighter Honda Civic for himself, which does mean faster speeds down the straights and later, just a fraction of a second later braking, but that can make all the difference in a longer race. So if James Keir can pull this off, it would be a nice job from him, and it would probably put him up into the podium places, but he still has to look out for that threat from Chad Seep, as now he comes into the pits.
All right, we're going to see where exactly Seep is. You can see him, Robert Schwenkler, rounding that final chicane there in 7th position. Chad Seep just now coming through turn 12, about to go into turn 13. James Keir trundling down the pit lane. Definitely seems a lot slower, especially when you're trying to get a position gained, as Schwenkler does get past Keir. Seep now coming through that chicane that we were just talking about with Rob, now through the final corner of Catalunya. See when Keir gets out of the pits, he's still sitting stationary. Now he's rolling. This is going to be actually a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Keir across the green line. Chad Seep coming down the straightaway now. Where is Keir? Keir is going to come out in front of Chad Seep, maybe, but Chad's got the warm tires. It looks like Chad's going to be able to barely hold on to that position.
Yeah, but now James Keir, he's got that full fuel tank compared to Chad Seep, so definitely a heavier car for him. So we see Bobby Ross there in the background. Looks like Josh Clogg has come into the pits again for his second fuel stop. Is around an expected time, or probably a scheduled fuel stop, around 32 minutes into this race. So honestly, the thing to look for with these GT3s now is when Bobby Ross comes into the pits again and how that affects him. And when is Jaden Darling or Josh Clogg going to come back into the pits? It's going to be interesting to look at. Or excuse me, not Josh Clogg, Kerry Cantera, because Kerry Cantera currently looks like around 17 seconds ahead of Josh Clogg, so definitely going to have to make a move there in that Lamborghini, make a fuel move to try and keep that car in the podium places.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, every time I look at Kerry Cantera's paint job when I flash to it, it looks like he's got damage on the front end. He obviously doesn't. That is an absolutely amazing paint job there by Kerry Cantera, by the way. Comes out with new paint jobs, I think, every week. And actually, this week, I remembered to turn on Trading Paint, so Kerry could actually showcase his paint job this time. So I apologize for the last race, Kerry. I didn't do that in time. But with that being said, Kerry has had a very lonely race up to this point. But that's not always a bad thing, Alex. He's been very consistent.
Yeah, and he's just kept that Lamborghini nice and quiet with some really consistent lap times up there. He's done a great job so far in this race. He just needs to keep that car consistent when he comes into the pits, make sure he doesn't get a speeding penalty, as now he comes into the pits. So now we have to look out for when he comes out of the pits compared to Jaden Darling and Josh Clogg.
Yeah, looking here right now, Josh Clogg rounding that final chicane there, turn 14, 15, and then into Repsol for 16. It looks like he's going to be able to very handily get past Kerry Cantera. Now the interval right now between Josh Clogg and Bobby Ross, we're about to see 25 seconds, Alex. Let's see what that last pit time was real quick, like, to see maybe what we can gauge on Bobby Ross if he does have to pit again. And remember, Bobby came in at about the 21-minute mark, so it's going to be very, very close for Bobby. If you're Bobby Ross right now, Alex, you're saving a bunch of gas.
Yeah, but he has to save about a minute and a half worth of fuel, so it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world for him to do. As we take a look at Josh Clogg's last pit stop time, he only spent 9 seconds in the pits. So if Bobby pits again, he's going to have to take even less fuel because he pitted at just under the halfway mark. So maybe just a couple of gallons, maybe 2 or 3 to get that Mercedes to the end of the race.
Yeah, this is going to be... Oh, man, Josh barely makes it through TV3, name of that corner, turn 7 and 8 through there. Barely makes it through there, gets it done. So now we're going to have to see, again, this is all what it's up to right now, is if/when Bobby Ross has to pit again. Right now, again, we're all watching Josh Clogg and Bobby Ross, right? Yeah, we know that's a battle. But the real battle is this guy right here and Bobby Ross, and somehow he's going to have to find a way to get around both of these drivers. And right now, unless there's a mistake, Alex, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I just don't think he can get it done. Josh Clark, he's already pit again. So unless Josh Clark just floors it going into turn 1 and totals that car, Kerry Cantera can't make a move on him, but I think he can still salvage a P3. Jaden Darling, I believe, still does have to pit again in that BMW. So Kerry Cantera might be able to salvage a P3, but I think second place or even a win is out of the question.
We do have a shout out in chat here from Robbie Racing saying, "Let's go, Jaden Darling. Good luck, man." Robbie, Jaden has done a great job for the last 2 weeks here, actually. It's been impressive to watch the strides he's made throughout the season. Run, again, a lonely race, but kept it on track. Been competitive the whole time. So Jaden still has a chance with the podium if one of these three come together, which I've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, but I want to take a look up towards Josh Clark, because if you look in front of him, he has 2 TCRs racing for position with Chad Seep and James Keir. So, especially with where he's catching these 2 cars, is not going to be good for Josh Clark. It looks like it's going to be a net loss of time. He gets to the inside of both of them through the right-hander up on the top of the hill, but he definitely has to lift there through that corner, and he definitely lost some time there. It looks like he might have lost around maybe 7/10 as he comes down that back straightaway.
Yeah, that was definitely a very, what's the word? Opportunistic move by Josh Clogg, but he made it work past James Keir, got past Kerry Cantera, or not Kerry Cantera, I'm sorry, they're both Canadian, Chad Seep as well, and they are moving on, and we're going to go ahead and stick on this battle right now, because James Keir, as you thought, was going to lose some time there to Kerry Cantera, hasn't. He's going to come down the front stretch in a prime position to make a move into 1. It looks like he may have just lost a little bit of time through that chicane.
Yeah, and looks like Chad Seep, looks like he's weaving down the front straight, trying to break that draft just a little bit, but James Keir still getting quite a bit of draft down that front straightaway in that Honda. You're just going to have to keep that car nice and smooth for the last couple of minutes in this race to try and make up that spot as Jaden Darling comes into the pits, which is going to give Kerry Cantera a podium. But overall, that's really not going to help Kerry Cantera's chances at winning this year in championship.
It is not. Bobby Ross up here. Kerry right now is begging for something to go wrong here with Bobby Ross. I know they don't have mechanical failures in iRacing, but I know right now Kerry wishes they did. But this gap here between Bobby and Josh, Holden maybe coming down just a little bit. I think Josh may have run a bit of a quicker lap on that last lap, down to 23 seconds. I think I saw it at 25 at one point. So Josh is definitely starting to make some moves.
Ooh, looks like Bobby dips his left tires into the gravel trap there, and Bobby might be losing a bit of time to clock just off trying to save fuel, with Josh knowing he doesn't have to save any fuel at all, and he can push that Porsche as hard as he wants to try and make up just the most amount of time possible if Bobby does have to pit again. So definitely just trying to push that car, and looks like Bobby is really on edge as well, even if he's saving fuel. But back here between Chad Seep and James Keir, this battle's only getting closer.
It is. James is slowly but surely, I think, starting to figure out where he's gaining time here on Chad Seep, and we're about to watch him come through the chicane again. But here's the problem. Kerry Cantera is right on the back of them, and right now, this is not where James Keir wants to try to let somebody go, as he's going to try to go to the outside of Chad Seep through the final corner of, the final corner of the chicane, turn 15, now down turn 16. Now they are nose to tail. We may see some 3-wide action here between a TCR and a GT3, and now James Keir gets down into the slipstream of Kerry Cantera. Is it going to be enough to hold on to this? We may see this 2-wide that you were talking about, Alex. Nope, Keir backed off.
But James Keir, he definitely measured that gap. He hasn't cut it yet. He definitely knows he can get to the inside of Chad Seep down that front straightaway, so he just needs to keep that car clean and just stick to the rear bumper of Chad Seep for another lap until he has a shot again. But he might have a shot right here down into turn 4. Looks like he's just trying to get a nice exit. Has to counter steer a little bit there. Looks like he might have just lost the rear end just a tad. He's still right with Chad Seep as they start the middle sector down into turn 5. Tries to make a move and he just can't yet. Looks like, ooh, he tries to get to the inside, and just not there. Flashing his headlights, just messing around in that Honda. So definitely a very close race between these two, and it's only going to ever get closer as they come up the hill.
Yeah, this is great racing between these two. We'll have to see how this pans out. Keep an eye, one eye up there on the interval between Bobby Ross and Josh Clogg, as that interval still coming down. Wondering if Bobby Ross is going to have to pit again. If he doesn't, he's going to be coming across the line on fumes, but he is extremely close as Kier, man, super late on the brakes, gains more time again on Chad Seep through Sector 2. This is where Kier is quicker. Go ahead and stay here. We're now watching the gearbox cam of Chad Seep. See what happens here into the chicane. Actually, we may have to switch to a different camera, as it looks like Kier's getting a little bit closer. Not a little bit, he's there.
Yeah, he's right on the back bumper of that 73 car. Needs a nice exit here. Looks like he lost a bit of time as they come down this front straightaway. He might have gotten a bit loose exiting turn, I believe that's 15, as they went through the final corner of 16. So Kier just needs to keep this car consistent. Looks like just 2 laps to go there. 2 laps to try and make a move on Chad Seep. So he just needs to keep that car clean. But up towards the front, this is where we have to look at if Bobby Ross comes to the pits. When he crosses the line, he's probably going to have 2 laps to go. So if he doesn't pit this time, he's probably not going to pit at all.
Yeah, this is big. You can see that this interval's coming way now between Bobby and Josh. You know Bobby is thinking at this point, uh-oh, he has got to save as much fuel as possible. You can see Josh Clogg just coming through turn 10 right now. Bobby Ross coming through the final chicane there of 14 and 15. This will not be the final lap, I believe. Oh, is Bobby has to pit. Bobby has to pit. Josh Clogg has just won the race, I have a feeling.
I don't know, but you got to think Bobby probably needs to take just 2 or 3 gallons of fuel to make it an extra minute and a half. So Bobby, he's going to come into his pit stall as Josh Clogg just eats the sausage curb in 14 and gets on exit as well. So Josh Clogg coming down this front straightaway. Bobby's not going to have to take much fuel, but with Josh with that speed, he's going to get out ahead of Bobby. But Bobby now, we know how fast he is in 4. I believe that is the final lap. Bobby's just going to have to push all as he can, but a 3.5 second gap I think might be insurmountable.
I believe it is. Unbelievable strategy by these two drivers. You called it, Alex. It was going to come down to strategy. Now, Josh Clogg has one final TCR to get around, and that is Eduardo Pecorini. And you know at this point, Eduardo is just going to let him go. Eduardo is miles ahead right now of Robert Schwenkler. Kerry Cantera there in 3rd place. You can see right in front of Robert Schwenkler. This is unbelievable play calling here by Josh Clogg.
Hold on, take a look back towards the TCRs. James Kier got around Chad Seep in that last chicane. So now, with just the final lap remaining, oh no!
Oh!
James Kier into the wall. I think he might have had contact. That is going to destroy the engine of that Honda. And I think that's just Chad Seep just got the braking all wrong.
Final lap here. Here we go. We'll see if James Kier can hold on to this. We know Josh Clogg has just won the race here for the GT3s. Eduardo Pecorini going to come across the line as well. But James Kier still holding on to this for 4th in class. James Kier still on this. We'll see if Chad Seep can try to make a move around James Kier. James has to hold on for just a few more corners. Well, a couple more than a few. It will be a few. About to come down here through TV3 right now. This is going to be where James Kier, with all that damage, is going to feel it. He's going to be leaning on that left front coming through turn 9. Very high G right-hand corner. Is he going to be able to hold on to it? Right now, it looks like he is. Chad Seep still about 0.9 of a second back. You wonder if Chad Seep may be dealing with some of the damage as well.
Yeah, but looking at the front end of that number 73 Honda, it doesn't look like he has any. I think at this point, looks like that damage hasn't affected Kier
as
that
he's
much.
Wide.
Chad Seep might just feel bad a little, though, and he's just trying to give him the spot. But Chad Seep still pushing there, gets the gap under 0.7 of a second. But coming through this last chicane, I don't think he can make a move.
I don't think so either. It looks like James Kier is barely going to hold on to this. Last lap pass there by James Kier. Chad Seep gets it all wrong. Boots James Kier out into the wall, but James able to hold on to this for 4th in class. Great driving by these two drivers. Great racing the whole race. Alex, did you ever think we were going to cover a fourth place battle like we just covered this one? This is a third place battle. This is for third place. I wasn't even paying attention. James Keir, final step on the podium. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think that might just be a bit of racing respect. Chad Seep realized he made a mistake and just figured it would be for the better of both if he just let James Keir take that podium. So just great driving from these two as they tow back to the pit lane, and a great drive from everyone overall. But your winner is Josh Clogg. He finishes just around 4.5 seconds above Bobby Ross. Kerry Cantera 23 seconds back from, or just under 24 seconds back from your leader in P3. Jaden Darling takes P4, Tyler Coates in P5, and Jimmy Howitt in P6 in class, respectively.
Here in the TCRs, we have Eduardo Pecorini coming home. Oh my gosh, 30 seconds ahead of Robert Schwenkler with James Keir. Final step on the podium, barely. Great last lap action by those two with Chad Seep there in fourth position. And we do now have some interviews that we're going to be able to get into here. Alex, I'll go ahead and let you take the first one. I'm going to have Josh Clogg here, winner of the GT3 portion here at Catalunya tonight.
So, Josh Clogg, a great race from you so far, and great job from you so far in this season. What was that strategy like? You had to make a great strategy call there to pit at 15 minutes and 30 seconds in, not 30 seconds, 30 minutes into the race, and you just barely got in front of Bobby Ross just on the final lap. How's it feel?
Yeah, that was a super close call. I was worried he had saved enough fuel, but I think he needed to save like about a lap, maybe around a lap's worth of fuel to be able to one-stop it. So that's, that'd be pretty tough, because I know he was running hard, at least when we were close to each other. So I figured he had to do the two stops too, and I just tried to do it around the TCR traffic to minimize loss there.
Yeah, and you were able to take advantage of that to get a great finish for yourself. But what was it like racing Bobby Ross, even with that strategy call? Obviously, you ended up with the better side of it, but how tough was it out there?
Oh, it's definitely tough. Great racing with Bobby. Always nice and clean, so it's you don't have to worry about going for a move. If you have a chance, you can go for it. And, it was tough to find places to get moves done, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, and you did a great job for yourself. Anybody you want to thank for being able to come out here and win this race?
Oh yeah, all the TC guys, much appreciated.
All right, well that's all I got for you. That's Adam.
I'm good there. Josh, thank you so much for hopping in here and doing that interview with us. Great strategy call on your part. You're able to cut in that lead a little bit on Bobby Ross, but unfortunately, I think that was just a little too late, but there's always next season, right?
Yep, all good.
All right, absolutely. Thank you, Josh Clogg. Excuse me, first place there in class in the GT3s. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and drag in Eduardo Pecorini, the winner by 30 seconds. Not really a mile, but it might as well have been Eduardo. Great race today. I mean, what do you do in your spare time when you're winning these races like this? Have you picked up knitting or anything like that yet?
Thank you, man. Just another good race. The track is a good track for me this time, and I was lucky to made it to the race because we had power electricity issues here. But no, my spare time is sometimes doing a racing, sometimes doing crypto investment, man.
There you go. Well, maybe you can crypto invest. You don't need to crypto invest in any more equipment here for your iRacing rig, because you're already plenty fast, at least here for the drivers in XTC at the moment, man. But got one race to go here. It's going to be a bit of a mini enduro. Going to head over to the Daytona road course. You looking forward to that?
Oh yeah, man, that's gonna be fun, and always a good race here, and giving thank you to you guys and everybody in the league, looking forward for the next race, closing the championship. Maybe next championship I will do GT3s.
Hey, well, let me tell you how close it is, Eduardo, and I think I can say this because I don't believe you and Robert were involved in any incidents. You guys are tied now going into the final race of the season. So it's going to be, it's not just close, it's very close. But congratulations here on your win tonight, Eduardo, and we're looking forward to see what you can do for the final race next week.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks a lot. See you next time.
See you later, Eduardo. That was Eduardo Pecorini there, first in class for the TCRs. Alex, going to go ahead and drag in Mr. Bobby Ross for the GT3's second overall as well as second in class.
Woohoo.
Oh man, what a race, Adam.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I was going to let that, I thought I was letting Alex take that one, but I'll take it for you, Bobby. Man, I know what you were trying to save, as much fuel as you could there at the final, those final 2 laps, man. It just looks like you didn't have quite enough. We could see you fuel saving. We could see the times coming down between you and Clog. Just wasn't quite there.
Just not enough. And there was other factors too, like I overshot one corner a lap, and that lost me about a second and a half. Reaching lapped cars at a certain point on the track and having to slow down more than usual. Little factor here and there, but overall, dude, that was an amazing battle with me and Josh, especially like at the halfway point when we were going side by side for like half that lap. That was phenomenal.
It really,
good job for him.
It really was. And we caught the whole thing on stream. You guys were put on definitely a masterclass, showed exactly what you guys can do in racing in this GT3 class. But Bobby, you won the race, or you didn't win the race, but you took second tonight with Josh Clog and his points deficit. It looks like, unless there are some serious implications for next week at the Daytona Road Course, you may have locked this championship up. That obviously is unofficial at the moment. But what are you looking forward to in this Daytona Road Course? Are you going to go out there and try to win that one as well, or are you just going to make sure to bring home the points in the championship win?
I think, of course, I'm always going to try to go for the win, but I'm also going to focus, on the championship, make sure not to do anything stupid. Also make sure to partake in the race, because I know the previous race at, I forgot what it was, I think it was Road America, I unfortunately had to take part in my occupation outside of racing and my job. But I know for sure I'm going to be able to make the Daytona race. I'm just going to make sure to play it safe, just do practice and stuff, and even if I don't win, but I think as long as I finish in the top 3, I'm guaranteed the championship. So, like I said, just take it easy and play it out.
I think you've got this one almost in the bag. Almost, I should say. But Bobby, before I let you go, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
But first off, Slow Motion Broadcasting for broadcasting this whole series, and for you, Adam, and Alex to commentate. I'm not sure what happened with Alex, but I was going to say thank you to both of you for commentating. You guys are phenomenal. Of course, my brother and my mom that's watching in the living room, love you guys. And of course, a shout out to all my RISA teammates. And I don't know if you heard, but I recently just got first place in my karting league, and for the first time in like 6 years. So it's been a very good week overall.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I didn't bring that up. I forgot to mention it, but I did see you post that in XSLR, and congratulations to you on that, Bobby. Congratulations on your win tonight, and hopefully good things keep coming for you, man.
Thank you very much.
That was Bobby Ross there, second place overall as well as second in class. Bringing in second place in class, finished 6th tonight overall, Mr. Robert Schwinkler. Doesn't look like you had anything for Eduardo tonight.
Yeah, man. I just couldn't hang on to him. And then, I don't know, I had some brain fade in the middle of the race, and I could just feel myself getting slower and slower. So, it is what it is. I figured, once I saw the gaps kind of equalize after pit stops, I just tried to keep it on the track and not bin it. So,
well, you can't say slower and slower, Rob, because you still took second in class. So that's definitely something to be proud of. You took second in class by a long shot here, man. So Alex and I were talking during the broadcast, talking about this track and how it is definitely a driver's circuit. It is a fun track to drive, but the racing just tends to kind of spread out. Is that what you kind of witnessed tonight?
Yeah, I mean, with the discrepancy between the cars and the long straights, those GT3, I mean, it's hard to keep us together. We probably should have done some shorter tracks in hindsight, but it is what it is. It's a fun track for sure. It's when you get it right, it's really gratifying, and when you get it wrong, you know it pretty fast.
Yeah, absolutely you do, as we saw there on the final lap between Kerry Cantera and James Keir. But you were obviously not part of that, man. So congratulations on your second place tonight. How are you looking forward to Daytona next week for your Enduro?
Man, I've been itching to do the Enduro, so I'm looking forward to it. I think we're gonna try to do it so it ends at night, timing wise. So that'll be some changes in the mix.
Speaking of,
but we're tied in points now, Eduardo and I. So it's all up for grabs.
I was gonna say, speaking of changes in the mix, this is the first time that you have not been. You're technically still in the lead here for Cross Touring Cup going into Daytona. Better be putting some time in, Rob.
Yeah, looking that way. I mean, we got 2 weeks, so luckily, I got plenty of time, and I don't have any other league commitments elsewhere to worry about. So yeah, I mean, that said, I put in the time for this race, and you see what happens. So,
well,
so it is what it is.
You can't win them all, I guess. But anyways, Rob, before I let you go, man, I know you're probably still actively recruiting here for Season 2. Any information on that if you want to give it out?
Yeah, we are looking to do GT3s and GT4s next season, so we're going to say goodbye to the XTCs. And we're going to extend the season to races. We're going to have like a mid-season enduro and then an end-of-season enduro as well. But yeah, if anybody's interested that's watching and wants to join, definitely reach out. We definitely want more people in the league. Engagement and participation has been light, as the viewers probably have seen the last couple races. So yeah, the more people, the better. So anyone interested, definitely reach out to myself or someone at SMB, and they'll get you in contact with us.
Absolutely, Rob. Thank you, man. Before I let you go, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Shout out to all the drivers, all the admins for helping me out, friends, family. Shout out to Frankie for putting up with me. Thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
Yeah, I used to say shout out to me for putting up with you as well. But
yeah,
anyways, Rob, thanks for your time, man, and we'll talk to you next week at Daytona.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
That was Robert Schwenkler there, second in class, sixth overall. Got one more to bring in for the GT3s. That's going to be Kerry Cantera. Finished on the podium tonight, Kerry, but I know that's not the result you wanted with trying to track down Bobby Ross there in the front.
No, not at all. It was an interesting race. The spin didn't help me at all either. So 100% induced, so self-induced. So it is what it is. I just kept driving. It's not really the best track for me. I'm not very comfortable here.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? We're actually probably going to pull it up real quick because you mentioned it, and I'm just going to put you on blast here. What exactly happened going in there to turn number 5? You just... That was.
I got inside too much, and it felt like my back left rear was on the curb, and I just put down the power, and I just spun it. It was a complete debacle of a corner for me. So after that, I was like, I was really nice and comfortable behind Josh about that 1.2, 1.3. I think it went up to about 1.9 at one point. I was still comfortable there, knowing that there's still pit stops coming and such, so I can adjust my strategy there. But as soon as that happened, I was like, okay. And hence why I jumped in with the pits with Josh too. Is okay, I have to at least try to stay on the same lap that he's on.
Well, so, you made it.
Hey, you know when the alpha dog is running, right? You try to stay close.
Yeah, well, it was tough to decide which one the alpha dog was tonight, man. Between Josh and Bobby, you were holding on to him there, even after the spin. You definitely kept that gap close enough, but no mistakes made by those two.
That's the first pit when Bobby was coming out. I actually gained about 2.5 to almost 3 seconds from the undercut with that, but I ran into some traffic at the worst time just at the end or right at the beginning of turn 1, and I had this back right off of it, and of course there goes Bobby.
Well,
bye guys.
Well, Kerry, you got one more race to go here. That's kind of a mini enduro here at Daytona Road Course. You looking forward to that?
Sure thing.
Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out before we let you go, man?
Yeah, you know who it is. It's my team, SOG Racing. Slow old guys. We love it. We do it. And Clammy Nuts Racing Coke.
if it wasn't going to be Chad, it was going to be you, wasn't it?
Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely.
All right, Kerry. Well, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
Thanks a lot again, guys.
See you later. That was Kerry Quintero there, finished third place overall, third place in class. We got one more to go for you tonight. And this is a special one, actually. First time I've been able to actually pull this interview in. James Keir, congratulations. And it wasn't without a little bit of argy-bargy there on the final lap.
Dude, we were racing really close. It was really good, I think. It was a GT3 passing us. And I hit the brakes, and he hit the back of me. We made it work, though.
You know, the amount of damage you were carrying on that car after that incident was impressive that thing was still even moving. Could you feel it after you had made contact? And it didn't look like Kerry was carrying, or not Kerry, I apologize.
Chad.
Chad was carrying too much damage after that. But it looks like you were still able to hold on to it okay. First of all, I got two questions for you. Number one, how did you get that thing across the line in third place? But number two, where did all this pace come from all of a sudden?
That's a really good question. I just got to thank my coach and my Wheaties this morning, I guess.
Awesome, James.
On the last lap, though, the steering was definitely wonky. I'm glad that was on the last lap.
Yeah, well, that's good enough answer for me. We're going to Daytona Road next week for the Enduro. You looking forward to that?
Insanely. It's a really fun track, and I hope we get a good showing because I think the racing is really getting good. I hope people watch and share and join this league for next season because it's only going to get better.
Absolutely. We already talked to Rob about how you can get in contact here with us or with you guys at XTC. Please reach out to us here on the YouTube channel, Slow Motion Broadcasting, if you want me to get in contact with some of these admins for you guys. But anyways, James, before I let you go, anybody you want to thank, anybody you want to shout out?
TC, Professor Clog, my dad for watching, even though he's probably in Europe and in bed right now. But yeah, thanks to SMB too. You guys are doing a great job.
Alrighty, thank you, James. And unfortunately, I'll see you tomorrow, but we will see you on track here in a couple weeks' time.
Looking forward to it.
That was James Keir there, third place in class, 7th overall. And that's going to round out our interviews here for the night. So we did lose Alex Anderson, gets a little bit late pretty quick there on the East Coast. But I'll go ahead and do a quick debrief for you. Great racing. As Alex and I were talking about, it did get a lot closer than I thought it was going to get there between Josh Clog and Bobby Ross. Strategy did come down to it. Alex called it. But also, with James Keir and Chad Seep, great racing the whole night. Covered most of it, so it was really great to see that these guys were able to race like they could. Again, if you guys are interested in this league, please reach out to me. We will get you in contact with the admins. Again, GT3s and GT4s for next season. But with that being said, my name is Adam Thompson. In the commentary booth with me was Alex Anderson. This has been coverage of Round 7 of the Cross Touring Cup by Slow Motion Broadcasting here at Catalunya. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys here in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.